Hi, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on all of our channels and networks. I'm Mike Morales here in sunny Southern California. That gentleman out there is
Rick Levy, also in sunny Southern California.
Rick. This is interesting. This brand that we're getting, that we got today, that we got a few weeks back, actually. I don't even know how to pronounce this because I've never. The packaging is beautiful. I'm going to tell you right now. This box is like over the top. It's like a blue foil and it magnetic. We're starting to see a lot of the magnetic flaps that go up and down like that. I was telling Rick on camera, I think that initially I think that this brand was I'm thinking that it was designed for the Asian market, because even the logo looks a little bit like an I Ching. It almost, if you're not, if you see it on the shelf, it's like, what language is that? And then you get up close and it says it's ONR, Estoico Indigo. All right. I didn't run a Google Translate on Estoico. I've never. That's a word in Spanish I've never heard. If indeed it is in Spanish. Did you do something like do any translating on this at all?
No, I was just grabbing my copy of the
there you go.
to see if I could find a graphic I could flash to.
Well, it looks like a Chinese coin. I'm familiar with that because I don't do a lot of feng shui, but I've got books on it. And I know it's an ancient art. I mean, it's old, and it's more about space and geometry and direction. And so some of the lucky things that you can carry with you are Chinese coins, which you can buy online. You can get them, the replicas on Amazon. So it looked to me like an I Ching or a Chinese coin or a symbol,
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I reaching for it? I don't know. But let's.
I think you might be reaching a little, but I see what you're saying. There's
well, I mean, it's flashy.
A lot of times you'll see the symbols of the I Ching formed in this circle, and
right. Yeah. So anyway, regardless of what it looks like, I mean, this is a nice bottle, a very familiar looking bottle. I think
if you look at some of the details, some of the patterns on these rings, I think it has kind of an Aztec influence as well.
It's very tactile too. I like the feel of the bottle, the labels. I like the box is beautiful. Like I gotta say, if it's outside of the box, this bottle may not do much. Yeah. See how it looks like a coin. It looks like I Ching. It looks like you need to toss or a rune or something, Anyway, this bottle is a smoked.
Getting mystical on us.
Hey, tequila is mystical. I know that you're not. This is a smoked bottle.
Hey, you could see Mike in the reflection in my bottle.
Yeah, isn't that cool? It's almost like okay, thanks. Cover me up.
So as you're saying about the bottle, there's some cool effects going on with these bottles in this line.
I think this style bottle, if I'm not mistaken, reminds me a little bit of the same type of bottle that Tromba used to come in. And I think Tromba, when they moved to distilleries, they actually upgraded their branding and their bottling. So but anyway, the cork is plastic. So I'm gonna, yeah, it's a nice like a wine cork. Isn't this like a wine cork?
I think it's glass with I don't know. It might be glass with just
plexiglass or something.
Plastic stopper there.
Yeah.
Look at the ridging on there.
there's ridging, so it sticks to the bottle. Can you smell anything? Wait. Oh wait.
Yeah.
Oh. Wait, I smell. Yeah, really. Put it on your pulse points. So I know we're spending a lot of time on the packaging, but folks, this is for those of you listening to us on the podcast, you don't know what we're looking at or what to expect. So, when you see it, you'll know it. Oh, it comes in a smoked bottle. It's got, you know, the shoulder, the little broad shoulders. It's a narrow bottle, but good hand feel and beautiful box. I don't know if you'll find it in a box in a bar somewhere, but you might. I'm going to pour mine in a Stasso Jarrito for tequila. We are drinking the Blanco.
As am I.
And bubbles. Wow, lingering bubbles. You know how I love bubbles, man.
Yeah. Mike's gonna wash his hair.
Yeah, that's it. What's left of my hair. I need a mohawk like you, man. I need to gel like 3 or 4 hairs.
I got I got kind of like the Bart Simpson thing going.
Yeah. So from what we could discern on the cork, which is a plastic cork, it's a clear plastic, plexiglass, and it reminds me of some of the wine corks that we get every once in a while. But I like those corks because they secure very well.
Yeah.
So
you don't have to worry about crumbs falling into your juice.
Well, yeah, you don't want the or you don't. And now it's a clear type of plastic, so it's not going to leach into the juice either. So can you see? Look at that. Look at the legs and tears. It's taken forever to form, but now here they come. Streaming like Netflix. And it's mercurial in look. It's very, as we like to say here at Tequila Aficionado, it's very shiny. Now, to be fair, these bottles have been on our floor, my living room floor, for a while, maybe a few weeks. Wow, there's
mine have been on the shelf back there. I just broke the seal before we.
Yeah, you have
the cameras. I
gotta say, Rick, your library stunning. Your library is stunning. That you have every issue of Tequila Aficionado.
I'm running out of space.
Yeah, join the club.
It's a quality problem to have.
Yeah, I know, huh? And Rick's the kind of guy that actually does go out and buys tequila. I don't even have room for that. Okay, so if I go to a liquor store, it's for research only. It's like, some people, you used to go to like coffee shops, to have coffee, and to go to B. Dalton booksellers or just to read sit down, read a book. That's what I do when I go to a liquor store. It's like, let's see, what issue should I just go look at? Look at the pricing. I'm just such a nerd. It's just crazy. And then I go people watch too.
Man,
what are people buying these days?
Look at all these. They're just hanging there.
It's really beautiful to look at. Rick's been enchanted by the look. It looks like it's going to have some nice mouthfeel. The legs are not too thick or too thin, but it's a healthy legs and tears. Okay, now you gotta nose this thing, because I'm getting all kinds of notes in here.
Wow, it's got everything.
Yeah. See, I thought it was just me that because they were sealed up until like a few minutes ago before we got on camera.
I'm getting floral and citrus.
Yeah, but there was an initial agave denseness at the very top layer.
Yeah.
Now that it's opening up, you're right. At the bottom is more of a floral and
the baked agave is
more
there.
Floral than fruity. And that denseness is still there, though. That's that baked agave denseness that I really enjoyed. And it was the only element that I could perceive on the cork, being that the cork was plastic, or lexiplastic or Lexan or whatever the hell. It's a very shiny looking, clear and shiny looking plastic. Wow, there's almost a little bit of fennel in here, which which can sometimes lead to anise, but it's more fennel. It's more herbal than spice. And there's some herbaceousness in here too, man.
Like, I think I might be getting a hint of dill.
I'll buy that. I'll buy dill or even rosemary.
Mm.
But dill would mean that it leans toward brininess a little bit, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, okay. That's why I said fennel and I didn't say anise, because it wasn't as sweet as anise or as a spice.
Mm-hmm.
It was more, more herbaceous and more that direction. Yeah, and very minimal alcohol. I mean, it's just doing its job. It's just presenting the notes to us. Wow, just in the nose is pretty complex.
What about earth? Like, are you getting any sort of mineral notes on the nose?
I think so. I would say that there is some minerality in there. Well, you said, when you said dill, brininess that kind of leans into that
Right.
minerality. It's not necessarily a matitan minerality, where that's gotten the earth and the water,
Yeah.
but it's more subtle. It's more like a sea salt and sea breeze and that kind of thing.
Right.
Like
Well,
living near the ocean, like Rick does. Well, he doesn't live near the ocean, but he
I
can
don't
see
live
it.
near the ocean.
He's up high enough, he can see it.
If I climb the mountain, I can see it.
Yeah. So Rick lives where I used to, in the same area where I used to live, only further south. I used to live in Rancho Penasquitos, which is
I'm
right
north
across
of
from
Rancho
Poway,
Penasquitos.
and it's a little higher, and in those days you could actually, if there was no marine layer, you could see the ocean from the house that I was living in. So, but you're more like you're in the valley. You're down in the valley, so you're a little. It figures that you would be a little bit warmer.
I'm just above Lake Hodges, and
Yeah.
so
Okay.
Bernardo Mountain's right here. And so a lot of times when I go on my hikes in the afternoon, I'll climb Bernardo Mountain, and from the top, I can see all the way to the Pacific.
Yep. Yeah, there's not a bad, if you're living in the San Diego County area, there's not a bad view from anywhere. I'm ready to dive in. I mean,
Yeah,
the
I want
nose
to
has
go
been
in.
beautiful. I will say, gorgeous nose, but here we go.
Agreed.
Wow. Okay, that was my first pass. I don't normally take stock of the first pass because you're just priming the pump at that point. But just in the initial pass, there's a lot of stuff going on this tequila.
Yeah. I'm getting huge pepper.
Pepper, I got I didn't get okay, that was my first pass. Let me go in one more time, folks. For those of you listening on the podcast, I'm going to go dive in one more time. I don't usually start with my initial, because I to be honest, before we come on camera, we always cleanse our palates anyway. So that first pass is never a good indicator. But man, I was impressed.
Wow, it's got an excellent feel on the palate. It's got a great viscosity to it. The pepper effect is just huge. It's activating lots of different parts of the palate. You get there's the baked agave there, and I'm getting, just we were talking about minerality, and earlier I mentioned citrus. I'm getting just a little bit of maybe salty lemon around the edges.
Yeah. There's a heavy baked agave flavor that lingers like a mezcal. I mean, it's coating the palate like a mezcal. Some people might even call it smoke, but it's not smoke. There's an underlying bitterness. It's not bad. It's not off-putting, but the bitterness kind of leads to, how you were talking about, you said on the nose that you were leaning toward dill. I got more dill that almost turned into mustard seed. Does that make any sense? It was it was a spice that I'm not familiar with in a tequila. It's deep. I mean,
this has got a lot of character to it.
Yeah. there are flavors here I've never had in a Blanco from this. Well, the distillery supposedly is in tequila, and we'll give you a little bit more of the ins and outs. So there's no telling where they're getting their agave, but this doesn't react,
right?
And it doesn't act like a Highlands to me. Does it to you at all? Because I don't get that.
No, I think with with the herbaceousness and that kind of thing, I would peg it as low in agaves.
There's earth. there's oh, I know I'm talking about my mouthful. I'm sorry, folks. I don't normally do this, but I'm speechless.
Yeah, this definitely stands on its own.
Oh my God. I wouldn't even put this in a cocktail.
Now, I wonder if it would react like a mezcal in a cocktail, where when you add essentially water, it ends up just exploding.
I don't know. Good question.
Because there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, this would be last time Rick and I got together, he had never heard of the term ranch water. He looked it up because he's not from Texas. I was living there for 8 years. I still got my San Antonio t-shirt on, but ranch water is very popular, where it's a splash of soda and tequila, maybe a little bit of lime, maybe not, maybe a pinch of salt. Or
old school, they would have called that a tequila Ricky.
Well, yeah, exactly, right. And so I think if this were like a ranch water, it would sing. It would probably just open up completely.
I just threw a splash of water in here to see what it would do, and it really did change. The citrus component is just exploding now. And
David Searle was the one that told me years ago on one of our first initial trips together, and he said, tequila is so complex, one drop of water will change the flavor profile. And of course, the first time that he and I were together, that was 8-9 years ago, maybe longer, over 10. So tequila, the processes for tequila have advanced so much, but this tequila's got so much character. I don't even recall an old school tequila tasting like this. There are profiles, there are things going on this thing. I thought the nose was complex. Oh my gosh, the flavor profile and the finish. How's your finish?
I'm getting this the numbness on the gums and the pepper effect. It's lingering.
This is exquisite.
It's really wonderful. You know what? As we've been doing more and more mezcals, I've been finding myself gravitating toward those when I'm just, on my own having a drink, because there's just, there's just so much character there. And a lot of the tequilas we've been getting have been more, I don't know, more
mainstream,
more refined, or there's, the flavors and the profiles are more delicate. Whereas the mezcal, they just come up and hit you in the side of the head with a bat with the profile, right?
Yep. I agree. And I think
this is really, sort of punching up the profile for what you might typically expect from a Blanco tequila.
Well, the last time you and I did a tequila that had this much character in it, it was El Bastón del Rey, the Blanco. because of the way that they cooked it. It was like an underground stone ovens. You know, they cooked it very much like a raicilla. So it had a really different flavor profile. The aged versions got sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, which is okay. That's all right. But that Blanco really had a lot. Remember, it had a lot of character. But this one has way more depth, like you said, with like a more like a mezcal. Because I said, having had several raicillas, I said this tequila reacts like a raicilla, but this one reacts more like a mezcal. It really coats the palate with that flavor, that baked agave flavor. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Let's give you what we know. I mean, we didn't get a whole lot of information. Let me give you the name of the gnome number, and I'll give you some of the tequilas that come out of there, so you get an idea. It's the de Reyes. It says Casa Reyes Barajas, and if you folks are old enough, you might remember de Reyes tequila, and de Reyes used to make a great. They used to call it was an almond flavored tequila, and in New Mexico, it sold like crazy. Everybody loved it because it was so natural and so well made. It was probably the only tequila from that distillery. It's 1507. That's the gnome number. And most of the brands that come out of there all belong to them. You have RB de Reyes Torito, RB de Reyes Natural, Jesus Reyes Reserva Familiar Tequila de Don Jesus. All of these belong to them. They all have their name on it. And this one does not. They do make El Caballo Estrella, which I've heard of before, but I've never seen in the US. I believe I may have seen it in Mexico, but it's a handful of brands that come out of there. And it's like maybe 10. Wait, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right. And this is the first one other than the de Reyes that they don't make anymore. That almond flavored tequila, they don't make it anymore, to my knowledge. And it used to come in a brown. Remember those Milk of Magnesia brown bottles that you couldn't see through? It was just a plain. It looked like an apothecary bottle, but old. That's what the de Reyes almond flavored tequila used to come in. And I probably have an empty bottle somewhere stashed in one of my collections. And so that was the last time and only time I'd ever had any tequilas coming from this distillery. So this is really the first one, and we were made aware of this when the importer. In fact, let me give you the name of the importer, and they do have a QR code here. Alebrije Spirits out of San Antonio. That's interesting. And they do have a QR code that probably leads to, if we snap it, we probably get to their website or something similar. Rick, is this a brand of promise?
Absolutely.
Brand of promise nominee, folks, in that Blanco category. What I can't
find a price point on it.
Oh, tell me, do I have to sell my house to get it? Rick can't believe it either. He's looking at his phone going, that can't be right.
All right. I pulled up, where am I at? I'm at estoicoindigo.com, and I clicked on their store link, and I'm seeing 1,890 for the Blanco.
But that's pesos. So now you're trying to convert pesos to dollars? Yeah. Because it's all in Spanish. I mean, this must be just making it to our shores, or to the border anyway. Wow.
Well, the site I'm on is in English, and it's a .com. It's not a .mx.
Well, that doesn't mean anything either.
Yeah.
All of it's circumstantial evidence. I object. So, folks, we're drilling down because This Blanco is so magnificent. I don't, there aren't tequilas out there that are being made like this in larger batches. And if you're not familiar, in fact, like Rick was saying, if you're not exploring mezcals now, this kind of quality will probably turn you off. But if you are exploring mezcals and you miss what it's like to have old school tequilas, you're looking at it. Because this is so old, I can't remember tasting anything like this. And I've been around for 23 years.
Yeah, but you know, it's like an old school tequila with this much flavor would probably be pretty fuerte as well. And we're not getting that here.
No.
So it's like all the great things about modern tequilas plus the big punch that, you know, you would get with an old school one.
Wow. That's amazing. This is an amazing tequila. The De Reyes family is back.
Now I'm getting some orange notes.
Yeah, I'm getting more, but they're like blossoms. It's almost like right now, right? Because right now, I think it's the middle of springtime here in Southern California. I've got an orange tree and it's a combination orange and lemon tree. Don't ask why. But right now it's flowering, and you have, you know, if you go out in the backyard right now, it's a beautiful time to get, you have the lemon blossom aromas coming at you. We have a trellis that's full of jasmine. I'm getting jasmine on this. This is what it reminds me of. I'm getting a little bit of jasmine blossom, because jasmine is in Latin American countries, it's more aromatic because of the humidity in the air. So, but in Southern California, we have a lot of dry air. And so it's a bit lighter, but it still reminds me of that. So first, when we opened
I'm not trying to make a pun here, but the aroma is intoxicating.
Well, you know, we spent like 15, 20 minutes before that's unlike us, because most of the time when we get, you know, we narrow down the nose and we go, okay, let's see how it opens up on the palate. But the nose is enchanting.
Mm.
This is unlike any tequila that we've had in years. Rick, you're one of our senior tasters. You and I have not shared something like this, I don't think, ever. And like I said, the one that comes close is El Bastón del Rey, only because of the cooking method. But it was different.
Yeah, I wonder if they're like, what are the tweaks they're doing in their process?
The only information we could find, well, you found it, so why don't you read that off? Because I mean, I can read it off too if you got it.
You know, it seems like they're using, you know, standard quality equipment. They're using a Molino, a roller mill for extraction. They've got brick ovens for baking. I don't know how long they're baking. I would say they're baking at least 72 hours.
Gotta be, yeah.
And then what they've got copper pot stills. They're using stainless steel vats for fermentation, spring water.
Right, and the fermentation is without fibers, which is really
without fibers.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because there's a denseness that you and I sensed that you get with mezcals that are fermented with their fibers, right?
With the fibers, yeah.
Let me see if the box, I can read Spanish and I can probably translate it for you very quickly if it's giving us anything. But I'm not sure. There's a little panel of information here. Otherwise, there's no real info on the box. Okay, here we go. Procesos artesanales y tradiciones ancestrales. So it's artisanal processes, but the traditions are ancestral. 7 años es el tiempo en que los agaves toman lentamente. So they're using 7 years supposedly to get natural sugars from their. They are considered a lowlands tequila, the El Valle de Tequila. Durante estos años se requiere firmeza y serenidad ante cualquier cambio intempestivo. Okay, well, now they're just singing. It's natural. The moment distillations serán pasables hasta encontrar el equilibrio perfecto para cada gota. God, patience, firmness, serenity in one bottle. They got it. I'm sold. Brand promise.
Folks. You know, this one bottle could cover your whole summer soiree, because, you know, if you've got your, you know, your real tequila aficionados, you just pour it neat. If you want to go with something light, put a splash of carbonated water and a wedge of orange in there, and it would just be gorgeous. If you want your margarita, you just, you know, you could do the same thing as a splash of carbonated water. Oh, then just a little wedge of lime and a little bit of agave nectar, and you've got your margarita.
But you know how you were talking about using it like a mezcal? I bet if you used a more mainstream tequila for your margarita and float this on top like a mezcal floater.
Yeah.
And you know,
but I'm thinking, if you're going to mix with this, just mix. Don't mix with anything that's going to overpower it, because you really want this to come out. So just use a light hand when you're mixing. You know, if you want to go the Paloma route, you know, some carbonated water and a little splash of grapefruit juice or something.
Well, there's everything is in this. There's like brininess, there's herbaceousness, there's baked agave, there's sweetness, there's an underlying sweetness, there's floral, there's blossoms, there's, oh my God. You know what? I can't wait to jump into the reposado. So why don't we sign off?
I know.
Why don't we sign off? Stick with us, folks. We're going to come back. We're going to have the Estoico. I know, Estoico Indigo. I don't get it. I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's O and R. Okay. That's the name of the tequila, folks. If you see it out there, what are you paying for it? First of all, leave us a comment.
Are you paying $2,000 for it?
Are you paying 2,000 pesos for it? Which is what, $200 maybe? I don't know. I don't have the calculator on me right now. The you know, the currency calculator. This flavor profile would be completely lost in the Asian market. They wouldn't go for it. I gotta tell you right now, it's not going to happen. Not with this kind of quality. They will never. The box is, you know, beautiful, but the flavor profile would not do well, in my opinion. All right. And I did do a podcast with a Chinese national not too long ago, who lives in Houston, who's very more familiar with the culture in that area, which is, they're still dealing with in China, in Shanghai, and the main countries there. They're still dealing with the cocktail culture. It's just taken off for them. So they're like, you know, they're like years behind us right now. So all I can say is stick with us, folks. If you've had it before, tell us what you're paying for it. Leave us a comment, give us a like, follow us on all of the social media channels. That's right. We're even on MySpace. No, we're not. We're on TikTok. No, we're not. We're on Rumble. No, we're not. But you know, who cares? Just follow us on all the major ones that you follow us on. And you know, whatever you do, folks, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.